All right. What is up, Huddle followers? Let's go. Okay. So we are currently live. We are in, this is the Huddle studio for now. It's not much, but it is awesome and it works for me. I'm excited to get into what we're going to talk about tonight. Hopefully, the quality is pretty good for you guys. The comment section, the live chat stream should be working and going, but guys, we're going to be talking about a whole slew of things. We've got Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers, which that's probably the main topic that's going on right now in the football and fantasy football community. We've got Saquon Barkley saying that he's going to retire maybe sooner than people think. That's not very good news to hear if you're a dynasty owner. And we've got a couple other things like Terry McLaurin signing a new contract here soon. He wants to. Things aren't going too well with the Commanders right now, but I'm not too worried about that. St. Brown had a surgery to clean up his knee. A couple other things like that. Let's get into it, guys. I am so excited, but first I'm going to get into what we're doing here at the Huddle. So if you don't already know, if this is like your first time ever seeing the Huddle, the fantasy football Huddle, I am on Instagram. That's my main source of content. So if you go to the Instagram, you look up fantasy football Huddle, I am right there. So you're going to see me. You're going to see tons of content from me, post almost every single day, multiple times a day usually. So go check that out and give me a follow, comment, like some stuff up. That would be greatly appreciated. Number two, I have a Patreon page now, so go check that out. There should be a link in the description. If not, you can just go to Patreon and look up Fantasy Football Huddle. It should also show up on there as well. Got tons of content on there. Also, I've got 3 tiers you can pay for. Very, very exclusive content that you're not going to get on YouTube or Instagram. So go check that out. You're not going to want to miss any of that. That's the exclusive stuff that you're paying for, and I'm going to hook you up right. You're going to get access to draft guides, exclusive rankings that aren't going to be on Instagram, tons of content that you're just not going to want to miss out on. But, anyways, we are going to get into the topics for tonight. So, I've got a notepad with tons of stuff on here. Y'all, I crunch the numbers, I run the data, I look at everything so that you don't have to, so I can get on here and I can talk about it with you live. So, first things first, we are going to talk about Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. So, what do I think this means for fantasy? Well, unfortunately, not much. Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't say he doesn't have it anymore. I do think he's good enough to start on several NFL teams, but he's just not the same guy anymore, and that's okay. He's 40 something years old now, so can't really expect him to be much more than what we got last year out of the Jets. So, is he a big value, in my opinion? Is he going to elevate these Steelers weapons that really are non existent, other than DK Metcalf and, Jalen Warren, um, blanking, Caleb Johnson, or maybe even Pat Fryermuth? No, not really. He does bring something better than what they had in Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, but does it boost their stock a whole lot? No, not to me. And unfortunately, I think DK Metcalf is going to see a ADP bump, which I'm not really too happy about because if we look currently at the current underdog rankings, I hope that you cannot see my screen and you could still see me right now because I am looking at the live rankings on Underdog. Currently, DK Metcalf is the wide receiver 28. Now, I'm comfortable taking him there. That's a wide receiver 3. If you don't know, when you talk about a wide receiver 1, you're talking about the top 12 wide receivers, wide receiver 2, top 24, wide receiver 3. It just goes on from there. At wide receiver 28, that makes him a wide receiver 3 option according to ADP. I like that. I don't mind that. I don't think it's undervalued. I don't think it's overvalued. I think it's good. but I don't think that's where he'll be. I think he will move up probably into the wide receiver 2 range, which starts to get in the overvalued part for me. So I'm not too happy about that because, obviously DK Metcalf is a very talented receiver. Mike Tomlin went out, got him for a reason, wanted him. And he is going to be paired with a quarterback who has a lot of experience of making, his top option a very targeted, very heavy volume based guy. But this isn't that type of team. And I'm sure that it's going to change a little bit now that Rodgers is here. Obviously, he's not a big run quarterback, obviously. But this is a run heavy team. This is a run heavy offense. That's just what the Steelers do. And I don't think whoever that they bring into this offense is really going to change that philosophy because it's what they've done for so many years and it's what they built this roster to look like. And clearly, they were willing to move off of George Pickens to obviously decrease the value or the potential talent that is there in that passing game. I know they have some sneaky guys like Roman Wilson, a couple guys like that in there, but still, George Pickens was better than all of those guys. So if they're willing to lose a guy like that, they're willing to sacrifice the pass game a little bit. So I've got a comment here from my good friend Peyton. He says, if Steelers trade for Jonu Smith, will it affect DK? That's a good question. I don't really think so. I think, DK's role is carved out. I don't think anyone's really touching that. The guys that it's going to clearly affect is Pat Fryermuth. That's going to hurt Pat Fryermuth a lot. And it's going to hurt Roman Wilson, guys like that. Whoever ends up being the wide receiver 2, mainly guys that are, running those underneath the routes. That's what Jonu Smith is going to bring to the table. And DK is not really that guy. He runs, a different route tree. And he's just the wide receiver 1. And a lot of times a wide receiver 1, just has that role carved out for them. So I don't think it's going to have a huge effect on him if they do end up trading for him. Do I think they end up trading for him? Not really. I would be surprised. I would be surprised if Miami makes that deal just because they need the weapons. I'm a little concerned about Miami right now, just with we've seen Mike McDaniel make questionable calls, and there's no question he's a good offensive coordinator, offensive schemer. But head coaching, when it gets down to those nitty gritty decisions, when the pressure's on, the game is live, I don't think he's the best at doing that stuff. So I'm a little concerned about Miami this year, and I think they're going to hold on to Jonu unless they just can't get a deal, or unless they get a deal that they can't refuse, which makes sense. You can always there's always a price for somebody. But I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think that it would have an effect on DK. But back to DK Metcalf, I don't really like the potential thought that he goes up in price. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm like, maybe everybody else is having the same idea as me. But yeah, I'm just not really liking the whole idea of DK Metcalf rising in his ADP. So there's that. And then let's look at where Aaron Rodgers is going right now on Underdog. Right now he's the QB 31, which they don't even have him updated as the Steelers quarterback, which is, to be expected because technically he hasn't signed that deal yet. So, technically he's not officially on the Steelers roster, but we could throw air quotes around it. It's pretty much official. He is going to the Steelers. But yeah, he's the QB 31 right now. Do I think that's a value? Honestly, I do. I do think that's a slight value. I'm taking him over several guys that I see right here. Like I'm taking him over Tyler Show, the rookie for New Orleans. I'm taking him over Jackson Dart right now. I'm taking him over Anthony Richardson, I think. I just don't feel that confident in Anthony Richardson, to be honest. I might take him over Tua. I might take him over Tua just for the health concerns, I'm just not big on Tua. But there's a couple guys I would take him over, but it's not a huge value. I'm not expecting top 12 numbers. I'm not expecting top 18 numbers, and probably not even top 20, to be honest. But yeah, that's what I've got on Aaron Rodgers. It looks like we got another comment here by William Daly, another one of my good friends. Says, do you think DK will be a top wide receiver in the league now with an all right QB who will target DK a lot? I do think DK will be targeted a lot. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he sees a 25+% target share in this offense. He should, honestly, with the weapons that they have right now, he should see a 25 to 30% target share. There's no reason why he shouldn't. So that's a good sign. He's getting the volume, but how much volume is there going to be? Pittsburgh is not a pass heavy offense. Let's look and see. I'm going to share my screen with you because I want to look at this stuff live with you. Uh, let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Bear with me here. I'm gonna see here. Okay. Let's just do this. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Let's share this. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen right now. If not, we'll get it figured out later. But I am currently on ESPN, who is going to tell me the amount of times the Pittsburgh Steelers passed in the NFL last year. The amount of passing attempts that they had. So bear with me here. Let's see. Let's go to our stats for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24 regular season pass attempts. So they had 499 overall pass attempts last year. Now, this is interesting because their top receiver was George Pickens, who didn't have a 1,000-yard season. So no receiver had 1,000 rushing yards. Now, keep in mind, this is with, kind of dual threat quarterbacks, not a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who's just a gunslinger. But this is the same coaching staff for the most part. This is the same coaching staff that is there right now. So not a lot is going to change in aspects of throwing the ball. So let's see who passed the most attempts in the NFL in 2024. So Joe Burrow, so the Bengals passed 652 times. It led the league in 2024. Okay. So they passed the ball. The Bengals passed the ball 652 times. The Steelers passed 499. So they obviously, let's look up who passed the least amount. Who passed the least attempts in the NFL in 2024? The Eagles did with 448. So that's quite a bit lower than the Steelers, but it's still low. That's still a 153 pass attempt difference between the Eagles or between the Bengals, who led the league, and then the Steelers, who I don't know exactly where they place, but probably bottom tier of the league in pass attempts. So yes, he is going to see a lot of volume. I say all that to say he is going to get a lot of volume, but for a guy like Jamar Chase, who is competing with a really great receiver in T. Higgins, he's also getting a lot of volume, but he may not have the same target share that DK has. But because the volume is so much more as a whole for the whole team, it kind of counters itself or it balances out. So that's where I'm kind of at with DK. Like, yes, he's going to get a lot of volume, but how much is it really going to be compared to the top guys in the league who may even play with a little bit more competition, but they're just in such a pass-heavy offense? It really kind of balances itself out. So do I think it makes DK. I mean, I think DK is, a top half of the league receiver, talent wise in the NFL. Fantasy wise, no. Fantasy wise, no. I don't think it really affects him a whole lot. Unfortunately, I don't think that DK is a guy. I mean, we have to see where he starts going ADP wise. The most reliable is Underdog, just because it uses, people are paying to play in these leagues, so that's where the best drafters are right now. So that's kind of where I always looked, because that's where the best rankings are going to be. That's where the true rankings from everybody that's drafting right now is going to be. Right now, he's the wide receiver 28, which I don't mind, but it hasn't been adjusted since Aaron Rodgers has signed on to the Steelers. So I think he will get a bump, and I don't really like it, to be honest. So, but yeah, I think that really covers all of the Aaron Rodgers news for now. Like I said, I'm not big on Aaron Rodgers fantasy wise. Also, DK Metcalf, I like where he's going right now. We'll just have to see where it goes in the next coming days, as the ADP gets adjusted. So Peyton says, do you think it's a fair argument that defenses are going to double him because there's no other threats on the offense? I definitely think it's a fair argument. And DK can easily get doubled. Um, he is a type of receiver where he can go up and get the ball. So he's a good jump ball type of receiver. So does it really affect him that much? Um, that's debatable. And it's definitely something to look at. I don't think there's an avenue that you can't look at in fantasy. You have to assess every single possible avenue you can in fantasy, so that you can make the best educated decision when drafting these guys. And so I even look at injury risk. I even look at all this stuff, to see, is this a good decision to make in fantasy? So I think that looking at it that way is interesting. And I do think that unless they get another guy on the other side, which they had Pickens, they gave him up. So something tells me that they're not really looking. I mean, I've heard reports and I've seen reports that they are looking for another guy to line up, but why give up George Pickens then? I mean, I know he's a bit of a head case, and he's not the greatest leader or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but if you're willing to give up a guy like that, why are you looking for other options? It just doesn't really make sense. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're kind of just going to roll with what they have. They're going to have to. I don't really know what else is out there uh, at this time. So, yeah, I think it's a fair point to make that DK is going to see a lot of double teams next year, unless one of these young guys like Roman Wilson or other name on the Steelers can really show out and prove that they need to focus on them as a second threat in the offense. So yeah, I think it's a fair argument to make. But also, we've got some other news. I'm gonna close. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick, and we're gonna talk about Saquon Barkley. So Saquon Barkley, he says an interesting quote today. I'm gonna share it real quick. This is on Upper Hand Fantasy. I'm sure a lot of y'all know them. They make some good stuff. But this is a quote from, I don't know where it's from actually. But I've seen several sources, say that, this is true. He obviously said this. This is without a doubt. He said this um, at some point today. So I'm sharing my screen right now. It's a quote directly from Saquon talking about how his retirement will unfold. It says, it'll be out of nowhere. I'll probably be balling and I'll just be like, yeah, let's call it quits. So I don't think we have any reason whatsoever to be concerned this year. But I've been kind of exploring this for a while um, in dynasty leagues, trading Saquon away. He's 28. That's usually a very bad marker, a very bad, type of thing to have on you. Um, in dynasty leagues, especially as a rookie or as a running back. Running backs, you don't want guys 28, 29. That just gets to be too risky. Derrick Henry's an outlier. There's nothing you can really say about that. He's just been a beast, and he has proven the age thing to be, not a 100% thing. But that still doesn't mean we can't think along those lines, because Derrick Henry is that one outlier, and we can't really find another one. Age always hits running back sooner than any other position, and it always comes. It does. It just, without a fail, it always comes. So, and an age 28 season is a good marker for that. On top of Saquon Barkley seeing the volume that he had last year. Now, this is another fantasy football kind of stigma that you don't want to, always follow or always be behind, but it is one that it was like a pretty sure thing not too long ago in fantasy, where if a back saw the ball, touched the ball 370 times, excuse me, if a running back saw the ball 370 times in a year, which Saquon saw like 400 something times in a year last year, if you count playoff games, which I would count, um, then that is not a good thing. Usually that is almost guaranteeing yourself a hurt player next year. So Saquon Barkley, I'm not saying he is going to be hurt and be out for the year or whatever, but he's at a high risk for an injury this year. And kind of the way momentum works, I mean, we've definitely seen it be different in years past. Like Antonio Brown was the wide receiver one for like 2 or 3 years in a row. But there is a real thing called momentum, and momentum goes up, momentum goes down. So Saquon Barkley had a very high career year. Well, the last time we saw him do that was his rookie year. And then after that, he struggled with injuries. I'm not saying that is going to happen with Saquon Barkley, but it's something to think about. He saw the ball 400 something times last year. That's a lot of wear and tear on a running back who's going into his age 28 season. And with this quote, it just, it has me thinking, especially dynasty formats. Not this year. I'm not worried about him retiring this year, obviously. I do have my concerns that he will get hurt or see some sort of regression from last year. But dynasty wise, I'm selling him. I mean, if I can get Bijan, if you could swindle Bijan straight up for Saquon, I don't know if it's possible. It might be possible in a couple of your leagues that might have some not so skilled fantasy players, we'll say. But if you can do a deal like that, or even Ashton Genty, I would take Ashton Genty for Saquon straight up. I would. And I don't care if he hasn't played a snap in the NFL. I don't care. He is a elite level prospect. He's in a great situation, going to see a lot of volume. He has a great coaching staff around him. I'm taking Ashton Genty over Saquon right now. And if you can do that deal straight up, I would take it. I would. I know a lot of people may not like that because Ashton Genty hasn't proven anything in the NFL, but that's the risk you're taking, and I'm willing to take it. Because Saquon could fall off this year and Ashton Genty could blow up. And then you're not touching Ashton Genty with Saquon Barkley straight up. It's just not going to happen unless you do it before the boom comes, before everyone else sees it. That's what you have to do in dynasty and in fantasy football in general. But we got another comment from Peyton. He says, he also said it could be next season or it could be 4 years from now. I think a lot of players feel the same way. Saquon does. I'm personally not too worried about this. I 100% agree with you. This is just talk. This is an interesting comment that he made. It's nothing to be taken real seriously. I think, retirement can come for anybody. We just saw Frank Ragnow, one of the best centers in the league for the Lions, retire at age 29. And Aaron Rodgers is playing in his 40s. You just never know. you never know when these players are going to retire. Um, so if Saquon gets hurt and Saquon, just feels like it's better for his family, better for his long-term health to retire next year, he does it. If he's doing healthy, he's doing great things still. He loves the game of football. He's having fun with it. He's probably not going to retire for a while. That's just the risk you're taking. But even before this news came out or this comment came out, I was interested in selling Saquon in dynasty formats. Um, so yeah, I don't think it's too much to worry about, like you said. And I agree. There are a lot of players that are probably thinking the same way as him. That's a good point. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I just thought it would be interesting to bring up, interesting to talk about. And so yeah, I think Saquon is here for a while. If I'm being honest, I think Saquon has at least 3, maybe 4 years out of him. I do, but if he doesn't want to risk being injured, then he may retire earlier than we think. So you never know. But yeah, if y'all have any comments about that, let me know in the comment section. We are going to move on to a different topic now. So we're gonna hop into the Terry McLaurin contract. Now, if you don't know, I'm a big time Commanders fan. Maybe you could wrong finger. Maybe you could probably tell by the Commanders mini helmet right there behind me. But yeah, I'm a big time Commanders fan. And there was some news that broke today about Terry McLaurin possibly, starting a holdout if he doesn't get a contract soon. He's a little frustrated with how things have been slowly moving. Doesn't maybe feel like he's being valued enough in terms of getting a new contract, which is fair. I mean, he deserves it. Gosh, he has stuck with this team that has been so awful, and this is coming from a Commanders fan. This team has been so awful for pretty much the entire time he has been there, and he has stayed loyal. He hasn't caused any drama. He's just been a great teammate, a great player, a great leader. And now that it's time to get a new contract, the team is doing really well. Um, he just wants a new contract and he thinks he deserves it. And I think he does too. And obviously, the Commanders know he deserves it. They're just talking about money. That's it. I don't think it's anything to worry about. He hasn't even said that he wants to hold out or anything like that. He's not that type of guy. He doesn't want to start drama. He doesn't want to cause anything that will hurt the team. Unlike some other guys in the NFL, especially receivers, they can tend to be a little bit of divas. But McLaurin's not really that guy. So I'm not really worried. I think it gets done before camp, and I think it's a fair deal, you know. So I wouldn't be too concerned, especially you dynasty owners. I wouldn't be concerned at all. Um, I think Terry McLaurin is going to be a commander for the long term. He's going to be connected with a great quarterback in Jaden Daniels. He's got a bright future ahead of him for the next few years that he's in his prime. So I wouldn't be too worried about McLaurin. Yeah, it's something that is not causing me too much concern. So it'll be something to monitor as we go into training camp. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that, and obviously more news will come out as we go, and we'll obviously cover it when he gets a new deal. Which, speaking of new wide receiver deals, Rashad Bateman got a new wide receiver deal, like 3 years, 30-something million today. So, yeah, Rashad Bateman is a good receiver. He's an all right fantasy flyer if you want to take him in the last round of your fantasy draft. That is totally fine. But yeah, I don't have much to say about that. But next topic we're going to get into is Amon-Ra St. Brown did have some knee surgery earlier in the offseason. This was a while ago. This isn't anything new. He didn't just have surgery. He just kind of went public with it today. So he had some cleanup surgery. I don't even really, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know what the surgery was. I'm gonna look at it right now. It was just a cleanup procedure. Um, it doesn't really say exactly what was cleaned up, but obviously, if it's not being talked about what was cleaned up, it's not very important. So he's going to be fine. He says he'll be back by training camp. He's just going through light stuff at OTAs right now, which is fine. He's a vet. He doesn't need to, be working out at OTAs. I think people get too caught up in people not showing up to OTA camps and stuff like that. I mean, it's good. It's a good look teammate and leader wise, but other than that, it's OTAs. So I think he'll be fine by training camp. He'll definitely be fine by week 1. No concern there. No ADP changes for me. This doesn't bump him down. Doesn't bump him up. So we're good on old St. Brown. He's reliable. Gotta love him. Gotta love him. Okay, let's get into another topic. Unless you guys have some more comments, I will get into those. But I've got some more topics we can get into as well. There is a couple of guys that I want to talk about that I am just really liking. I can't stop myself from taking them. And man, who do I want to talk about? I don't even know who I want to talk about. I have 3 guys in front of me that I just love taking in fantasy drafts right now. Oh man. Well, I guess we'll just start from the top and go down. So we'll see where we get tonight. Maybe we'll have to save one of them for next week. But yeah, we're gonna start at the top. Garrett Wilson. I love me some Garrett Wilson this year in fantasy drafts. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of a guy who could legitimately be a top 5 wide receiver who is being very, very slept on right now. Earlier, like a week or 2 ago, I would have said that guy's Rashee Rice, but some news came out about Rashee Rice. Not bad news, good news, talking about how Mahomes said, he looks like Rashee. He's going to be the same guy he was. All of that. So Rashee Rice has seen a bump in his ADP. I don't even remember. I think he was like the wide receiver 18 or something like that. He's now the wide receiver 15, which is fair. I still think it's a value. I still think he's being slept on and underdrafted, but it's fair to see that he's gotten his bump. But right now, I think a guy who hasn't seen his bump in ADP yet, who legitimately could be a top like 3 to 5 wide receiver this year, that is Garrett Wilson in my eyes. I know I made a post about it not too long ago. Let's go look at it and let's bring it up on the screen so we kind of know what we're talking about here. So here is my Instagram page. Let's find that post. So last week I posted a bold prediction post where I said that Garrett Wilson finishes as a top 5 wide receiver in 2025. Now, this is a bold prediction. So this isn't like I'm putting my money on the line type of thing. This is just me saying I think he can be that guy. Even with Justin Fields, who is, not a gunslinger. And he played with a gunslinger last year in Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers wasn't the same QB he was, and he's not the same QB he used to be. So for me, I think Justin Fields elevates Garrett Wilson more than Aaron Rodgers does. And I say that because when Justin Fields has a solid offense around him, even when he didn't have a solid offense around him in Chicago, he was a very, very good QB. And when the Chicago Bears finally got him a wide receiver that was worthy of, seeing heavy volume and DJ Moore was a top 6 wide receiver in fantasy that year. And then fast forward to go back to last year. fast forwarding from his Chicago days. As on the Pittsburgh Steelers, he didn't really elevate George Pickens to that type of level. Um, excuse me. Excuse me again. He didn't elevate George Pickens to a top 6 wide receiver, but he was still good. And most importantly, Justin Fields was a top end receiver or top end quarterback last year when he was starting. So on a per start basis, he was amazing. But Garrett Wilson, we've always known he has the talent. He's always had the talent to be a top receiver. But he just hasn't had the situation. He's had some tough luck, I will say. He's had some tough luck. But if there's a year that I'm betting on Garrett Wilson to be a top 5 wide receiver in 2025, or a top 5 wide receiver in general, I think it's this year. I think Justin Fields, they were college teammates, so they have that kind of rapport, that connection. He's in a pretty solid offense, one that has other weapons, but not enough weapons to where it concerns me where Garrett Wilson isn't going to see the volume like he did last year when Devontae got there. That obviously hurt Garrett Wilson a little bit. It obviously opened some things up for him too, but he doesn't have concerns where he's going to – I don't think he's going to get double teamed too much. So that doesn't concern me. And he doesn't have a threat opposite of him to where I think, it hogs all the volume. I think honestly, Garrett Wilson could lead the league in targets this year. And I know they have Justin Fields, who does not throw the ball a ton. He runs the ball a lot. I know that. But they're going to have to pass the ball. It's no doubt they're going to have to pass the ball. I don't expect them to be blowing out other teams, to where they're running the ball all the time. They're going to be in some competitive games. They're going to have to throw the ball and be smart. And I think that Garrett Wilson just has the opportunity to see that type of volume. So I think he has that top 5 upside, and he's going at that wide receiver 13 price. So a high-end wide receiver 2, borderline wide receiver 1. So I think he's a great value. I love where I'm taking him at. In ESPN drafts and sleeper drafts, he goes in like round 3 or 4. So that excuse me again. Gosh, I mean, that is just ridiculous if you ask me. But I'm not complaining, because I'm going to be taking them all day, and I don't care. I don't even mind to start some teams like running back, maybe grab one of those elite tight ends or quarterbacks in round 3, and then go Garrett Wilson as my, wide receiver 1 in round 4. I mean, gosh, that is amazing. That's an amazing start. I'm not scared by that start at all. G, I see you in the chat. What is up, my man? We're just talking some fantasy football stuff. We got Garrett Wilson on the screen. We're talking about his value. I think he's a huge value, and I love what he can provide this year. Like, the potential that is there is amazing, especially at the price. You're not paying what you were last year. Last year, he was a top 6 wide receiver in rankings. You're not paying that this year, and he still has that upside, in my opinion. So I know he's burned a lot of people, including me, over the last couple of years, but I don't think it's his fault. Okay. So I'm not going to put it on him. We got to take our bias out and say, was that Wilson or was that his situation? I think it was his situation, and I think he's in a better situation this year. And you don't have to pay that price anymore that you were. Let's see what his ADP is on. Let's see what his ADP is on ESPN, because if he's going in the 2nd, borderline 3rd round in Underdog, which is a wide receiver heavy format. Curious to see what his rank is on ESPN. That's going to be really interesting. If they have him lower than like wide receiver 14 or 15, that's rough. That is that's not good. So let's take a look. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna stop sharing the Instagram one. I know I'm doing a lot of hopping around, but it's fun. If you like fantasy ball like I do, you'll think it's fun as well. Let's see, where am I going here? Yeah, fantasy football. Let's find their rankings. I love to look at the rankings and kind of make fun of them sometimes. It's pretty fun. But let's see, wide receiver PPR rankings. So right now they have Garrett Wilson as the oh my goodness. They have him as the wide receiver 18. Wide receiver 18. Okay, that is oh man. That's pretty bad. I didn't know it was that bad. Yeah. See, like guys, he's going as the wide receiver 18. Let's look a little deeper here. Where am I at? Okay. So if you can see, he's going as the wide receiver 18 on ESPN. I'm taking him above DJ Moore. I'm probably taking him above McLaurin. I'm taking him above JSN. Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson is close for me, but I will give the edge to Wilson because he doesn't have a Puka Nakua on the other side of him to compete with him. And I think that volume keeps him safe. And yeah, I think I would take Garrett Wilson over Adams. I would definitely take Wilson over Hill right now. Um, so yeah, those are all guys. I would take him over Higgins. I would take him over Higgins too. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see you in the chat. T. Higgins, wide receiver 1. Oh, you have Garrett Wilson currently as a wide receiver 14. Yeah, I currently have him as my 12. I have him at that 12 range. So it gives you some safety. It gives you a nice floor, but it also gives you a good ceiling or a good potential for ceiling. And I don't think that's too undervalued. But yeah, T. Higgins as the wide receiver 11, I I cannot justify that. That's higher than what Underdog has him as, which is the wide receiver 12. So it's not that big of a difference, but um, yeah, ridiculous. I don't see how Higgins provides wide receiver 11 value. If if um if there's one wide receiver that I could tell everyone, like I just went into the future. I'm coming back. Like I just went into the future and I saw the future. I saw the 2025 fantasy football stats and I could tell you the exact stats, the exact way that everything landed. Right now, if I could be that guy, my safest bet in my eye and someone that's not going to live up to their ADP is T. Higgins. I do not see how he gives you wide receiver 11 season. He would have to play a fully healthy season and also keep up the career high numbers that he had last year. I just don't see how it happens. I don't. So the fact that somebody has him, the consensus at ESPN has him at wide receiver 11, and the fact that somebody has him at wide receiver 10 in the first slot right there, the fact that somebody has him as the wide receiver 10 is beyond me. That is beyond me. I am not taking him at wide receiver 11. And then you said you don't even see Rice. Holy smokes, I don't either. That's not right. Hold on. There's no way because I know that I've drafted him and he goes in the same range as Garrett Wilson. So something's not right there. And these are updated according to oh, okay, never mind. These are not updated. These are as of April 28th of 2025. So to be fair, these are not updated. But yes, in April, at the end of April, which still that's ridiculous. They had Rashee Rice as the wide receiver 27. So I don't know what they're doing. over at ESPN. I'm not going to say that I'm better than them, but I do have some questions. So yeah. Oh, okay. I know you, Blitz Banner. What's up, dude? Thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. My throat's going dry over here, but yeah, I love looking at the rankings. I did not know that these were that old. I did not know that these were over a month old. So that's kind of my bad. You can kind of expect some whack stuff to be on here if they're over a month old. But yeah, still, I can't justify it. But yeah, I don't know what y'all think about Garrett Wilson. If we could talk about it if you want to, but um, I also have some other guys that I'm going to move on to here. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. The number 2 guy that I just love taking in drafts right now. And guys, I actually have to show you a team that I drafted on ESPN today. It was insane. So I'm going to pull it up. And I do not pay attention to fantasy football grades. When you do mock drafts on a lot of platforms, they give you a grade and they're like, you know, you got a D because you didn't take the top guy on our rankings. You went with your guy. So, you can't always pay attention to those. But I did a draft on ESPN today and I was pretty proud of it. And it's pretty nasty. So let's look at this stinking team. And it's got the guy that it's got one of the guys that I was talking about that like I just cannot stop drafting. So I got an A grade for drafting this team on ESPN. So my roster looks like this. I started off with Justin Jefferson at pick 4. Very nice, very nice. I feel safe about that, obviously. The guy I'm talking about that I just cannot stop taking in drafts when he falls to me in the second round is Devon Achane. I think Devon Achane, like if I had to pick a guy who who in my eyes is like the dark horse RB1 candidate. Right now, for me, I probably would say it's Devon Achane. No, I'm going to take that back. It's close between Devon Achane and Bucky Irving. I'm going to say that. It's close between Devon Achane and Bucky Irving, but still, Achane is that guy in my eyes. I think he can. I think he could finish as the RB1 overall, and to get him at the middle or back half of the second round, amazing value. Amazing value. But we're gonna get back into Achane here in a minute. But I want to look at the rest of this team and see what y'all think because it's ridiculous. So I got Justin Jefferson to start off my draft at pick 4. At the back end or the middle of round 2, I got Devon Achane. And then in round 3, I got Trey McBride. Love that. I mean, can you start a draft better than Justin Jefferson, Devon Achane, Trey McBride? Like you arguably cannot draft a better 3 players to start your draft than that. Then in round 4, got Rashee Rice to be my wide receiver 2. RJ Harvey, my running back 2 in round 5. I love him for this year. We're going to get into him a lot throughout the offseason. And then pick number 6, Zay Flowers. I think he provides, a really good value as my wide receiver 3. Plays in a really good offense. Not an offense that throws a lot, but I'm not expecting him to be that guy. He doesn't have to be that guy because he's my wide receiver 3. So I love that. Travis Hunter in round 7 as my wide receiver 4. That's a great player for me to have as my wide receiver 4. We're going to get into him some more as well. And then Travion Henderson as my RB3. I know that's a little bit of a risky RB3, but I think that this team has enough safety overall to where I can take a little bit of risk in that spot. So I love that. I love that value. I think he's going to be a great player this year. Then we got Baker Mayfield as my QB. Love that value. Debo as my wide receiver. What, 5? I mean, come on. This guy, he can be a top 5 wide receiver. He always has that potential. He's always that type of threat when he steps on the field. So as my wide receiver 5 in round 10, give me that all stinking day. This Washington offense is going to utilize him in a great way. I love that. Love that value. So then we got Cam Scatabo as my RB4. I know that's also a little bit risky, but this team just kind of looks light on running backs, and I'm fine with that because of the safety that I have at all those other positions. And I've got I've got solid guys at my running back position. Like Achan can hold it down for me, and then RJ Harvey has that upside that I like, that I love, and I think he has more safety than people think. So I'm comfortable with that. And then a couple, RB2 guys um, who could potentially steal the job or take over for some injury or something like that and blow us away in Jordan Mason and Trey Benson this year. So I love those guys as my RB5 and RB6. And then to round things out, my wide receiver room at wide receiver 6, I have Trey Harris, who I love this year. I love taking him at the back end of my drafts. I think he's one of those guys that I just have to take a shot on whenever I get the chance to. I think he's going to be a really great receiver this year. And then to kind of provide some upside slash safety to anchor down my quarterback room, I've got Baker Mayfield already to have that starter spot, but a guy I love taking, as a flyer at the end of my draft, JJ McCarthy. You can't really beat that. So yeah, I love this team. This might be my favorite team in the whole offseason that I've drafted so far. You just can't beat the values that are there. Um, and it's a team that is really rookie heavy. I do know it's rookie heavy, but I don't mind it because there are rookies that I think are going to perform well. So let's see what you guys think in the comments if you have anything to say. I wanted to make a mock draft post, but every mock draft I've done has been so disgusting that people wouldn't believe it's a real team. Yeah, I agree. It's mock draft season right now. I mean, if you want to do a mock draft and post it, which I do ESPN mock drafts and sleeper mock drafts and post them every single week. And you just the ADP is the ADP. You got to take advantage. And, you're not going to always be playing against competitive guys. There are some people that are, looking at fantasy content and they're just, they're playing in leagues that have some what you would consider, you know, grandmas or your old uncle Jerry who doesn't really keep up with fantasy that much. He just kind of is in it for the fun, or he's a big Bengals fan, and so he drafts all Bengal players, and you laugh about it every year. There's guys like that out there that are consuming fantasy content, and you know I just like to show where the ADP is, and it's going to change. It's gonna change as things go and stuff like that. But if you want to do a real mock draft and like be proud that like you drafted a team that was competitive, with other teams, like there's other guys that are going to be competitive in their drafting. Underdog is always the place to do that. You're going to have people that are paying to win those leagues. So yeah, underdog is always the place to go for that. But yeah, I was really proud of this team. So honestly, I would be down to do a mock draft while we're in here. I think that's something fun that we could do. We've got 3 people in here. 3 people, 4 likes. That's awesome. Y'all are crushing it. Thank you. Um, I'm gonna save somebody that I wanted to talk about Not necessarily tonight, but just want to talk about in general. I'm going to save them for later to talk about. Let's do a mock draft, and then we'll probably close out tonight with just that mock draft and talking about the team, assessing the team. But I think it'll be fun. It is something that I usually do put on my Patreon page for paid members. But I won't get into like the full strategy or where my head is, just so we can keep that kind of exclusive. But I'm sure you guys will understand that. But I think it will be fun nonetheless to hop in a draft here and do some stuff. Let's see what we can do. I don't know if you can see my screen. No, you cannot right now. So let's. I'm trying to let's see. I've got 3 people in here. I hope you all can hear me. So let's vote in the comments. Where do we want to do a mock draft on? Do we want to do it on ESPN, 12-team PPR, regular format? Or do we want to do it on Fantasy Pros website where it's a little more automated? Also 12-team PPR format. But we have a little more control of what goes on over there. What do y'all want to do? Tell me in the comments. I'm kind of leaning toward Fantasy Pros because you can pause it and kind of talk about it. But I'm willing to have that 30-second timer on me. I can do it. I think I can do it. So let me know in the comments what you want to do. Fantasy, or what you want to see rather. Fantasy Pros or ESPN. They escaped me. While you all are doing that, I was watching some Bucky Irving tape. I know we already talked about him last week in the live stream. I was watching some Bucky Irving tape today. Holy smokes. I mean, I watched him play a lot last year, but I just forgot I forgot a little bit of how stinking good this dude is. That's why I say he is honestly, if I had to dig deep in my bag and say who has the like largest chance outside of the top guys to finish as the RB1 overall, to me is Bucky Irving. It's Bucky Irving or Devon Achane. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I think he is that guy. And I've got a post coming out on Saturday that's going to tell us a little bit more of why I think that. So stay tuned for that because we're going to get into the stats. We're going to get into why he could be that guy. But just know that I love me some Bucky Irving. Usually Bucky Irving is the guy I go with in round 2, but he actually ended up going before Achane. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering right. He is the one who was going before Achane. So had to take Achane there. So I don't mind that at all. But yeah, I don't see any new comments, so I don't know. It's fine if you all don't really have a preference. That's fine with me. But yeah, let's just go ahead and pull up. Let's just go ahead and pull up fantasy data or Fantasy Pros. Let's do a mock draft. Oh, I don't want to do that. I just want to do a mock draft. I don't want to sign in. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. And then sign in, I guess, since they want me to sign in. And then we're going to do this mock draft. I think it'll be fun. Also, I'm interested to see who you all are, who you're like top, who you're all top guys to take right now. Like, who are your favorite players to take in fantasy drafts right now? I'm interested to see like who are the guys that when it comes down to it, at a certain round, certain ADP, every single time you're taking that guy like he's your guy. I'm interested to see. Okay. Man, this is harder than I thought it would be to pull up a mock draft. Like, what's going on? Let's go to Draft Simulator. Okay, I think we got it. Let's just go. Okay, you can sync your league. Okay, I don't really want to do that though. I just want general rankings. Let's just do general rankings. How about that? Okay, 2025 season PPR. Here, I'll pull up my screen on your all's end so you can see mock draft. Okay, there we go. All right, you should be able to see. So 2025 season PPR scoring snake draft. I'm not paying for the advance, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. All right, 12 teams. We're gonna do no clock, so that we can kind of just make our mind up, talk about it in the chat, and then we're gonna draft. I'm just gonna randomize it. I'm not gonna stick with 6. We're gonna randomize it. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 10th spot. That's fine with me. Let's do no kicker, no defense. It doesn't really matter to me, kicker, defense. Well, some of you guys probably draft kickers and defenses. So that's fine. And we're gonna do like a 7-man bench. Make it a little more fun. Oh, roster positions. Wait, what? Oh no. I want 2 wide receiver. Let's do 1 flex. That's standard. 7 on the bench. Yeah. All right, let's do that. All expert ranking, sure. Okay. Start draft. All right, let's hop in this thing. Y'all should be able to see my screen. Okay. So I want to see the draft board. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff on my screen right now. This is crazy. Do y'all see that? Y'all see all the ads on my screen right now? I want to get rid of all this. Okay. So things kind of, pretty much went as expected in round 1. It was pretty wide receiver heavy, a little more than I thought it would be. Like Gibbs falling to the 9th spot. That's a little bit surprising to me. I don't want this clutter on my screen. This is really, really bad. I hate this. Like, why? I don't want this ad in vague. I don't want this ad here. Let's click on it. Okay. Don't share that. Okay. Never mind. I think we're just going to have to deal with it, guys, which is fine. Whatever. But, yeah, so it was a little wide receiver heavy. So you got Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, Puka Nacua, St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, all that going. And then running back wise, as it should be, Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs. I think that's fair. Now on the board, we've got the 10th spot. So we've got Brian, BTJ at the top of their rankings. We got Nico, Drake London, AJ Brown, Brock Bowers. Then we get into some running backs. We got Devon Achane, Ashton Genty, CMC, a couple other receivers there. Now, this is debatable for me, BTJ or Nico. Now, I think that Nico has the higher floor, in my opinion, with just as much upside. I do think he can be the wide receiver 1 overall. He proved that last year with a lot more competition than he's going to have. If y'all want to drop whoever you're taking in the comments, please do. I want to see who you're thinking. Right now, I'm leaning Nico. I think that's the way I'm going to go. I see Blitz Banner. You're going Nico as well. Yeah, that's who I'm going with right here. So we're going to go Nico. I like the RB options that are there. Now, I did want to see either Genty or Devon Achane fall right there, but that is okay with me. I am not too surprised that they went. So Oh man, this is tough. This is really tough. The second round is so incredibly tough this year. I don't think I don't know if you can go wrong in the second round this year. It's just it's so loaded. I mean, you've got AJ Brown, Brock Bowers, Lab McConkey, JSN, CMC, McBride, Henry. Then you got Josh Allen. You got guys like Garrett Wilson, Bucky could go in the second, Chase Brown, maybe. Tons of guys there that I'm thinking about going with. Oh man, how do we want to approach this? Because if we go AJ Brown, we're kind of going with a wide receiver early approach, and we kind of load up on the running backs later. Um, I don't really want to go Brock Bowers. He's not even my tight end one this year. Now, man, this is so tough. This is so tough because I like the value of Christian McCaffrey right there. I like the value of Christian McCaffrey right there, but personally, I've had some trouble here lately ranking Bucky and CMC. I've had a little bit of a tough time ranking those two. They're very, very close for me. And I think it's a really good balanced way to start out this draft. Bucky or CMC paired with Nico in the first. I think that's the approach I'm going to take, as in running back or receiver. I think I'm going to go with a running back here to balance things out a little bit. Man, CMC or Bucky Irving. That is so tough for me. I think, honestly, I'm going to experiment here. Honestly, if I had to rank them, oh man, that's so tough. I think probably I would have Bucky over CMC, but there's a higher chance of Bucky falling. I don't think he does fall. There's just too many picks right here between, the 3.10 and the 2.03. I really, really doubt he falls right here, but I want to experiment, see what happens. And I don't mind CMC. Like, honestly, if I could look at my rankings and say, okay, Bucky Irving at 7A, but CMC at 7B, or, wherever I have them, that's probably what I would do. But I'm gonna go Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if I've drafted McCaffrey this year. I haven't been in the position to be honest. So I'm gonna go CMC right here. Can't deny that that is a pretty solid pick. So as you see, Bucky he was way closer to making it back to us than I thought. So we almost had Bucky Irving. I like this team right here. Chase, Taylor, McBride. I don't really love Taylor right there. Like I would have went Bucky over Taylor. So if you have like Chase, Bucky, Trey McBride, holy smokes, you're off to a really great start. I love that. So next, okay, we can go. Yeah, we've got options, y'all. We have options. So we could line it up with you got a really balanced approach with Nico, CMC, and then go with Jaden Daniels here as our QB1 option. Get one of those top guys. He's going to rush a lot. He's going to rack up those fantasy points. He's in a good offense. It's just a pretty safe pick. But there's also guys I like here, like I don't mind going McLaurin or Devontae Adams, especially Rice. I don't even mind grabbing Kyron Williams here in the third round. I love that value. We could I think those are the only guys I would take here because we could get one of these guys here at the 4.03. I'm gonna go back to the comments, see what y'all are doing. So you say CMC. That's what I was gonna go with. He says CMC's ceiling has the Bucky Irving role with 80% of the snaps. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Because like, they have the same ceiling, but maybe CMC has that safer floor because he gets so many more snaps. I don't think that Bucky Irving is going to be too shy of 80% percent of snaps, to be honest, this year. I think he sees 70% of the snaps, at least. I think he sees at least 70% of the snaps this year. So I am not too far off of their floor, honestly. But nonetheless, I like the CMC pick anyways. So you're going Rice. You're going Rice right here. I don't mind that. I really don't. But I'm really interested to see because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 picks in between us. Do we think Rice goes? If I take Daniels right here or Kyron, say I take Kyron or Daniels, do we think Rice we lose out on Rice? I don't know that we do. I would be a little bit surprised, honestly. I would be surprised if one of these teams takes Rice. I know this is drafting against the computer. Okay, you say if the coach and OC say that Bucky is going to get that level of snaps, I will rank Bucky over CMC. Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is the talent level is so I like Rashad White's talent level compared to Bucky Irving's talent level, in my opinion, is not even a debate. So obviously, Rashad White is a talented back, and we've seen him be a very good running back in fantasy, but that's just not the case anymore with Bucky there. And it would help to see some validation from the coaches, but Rashad White is also going through contract struggles and contract issues right now. He is wanting, like he said the other day, that this is probably his last hoorah with the Bucks, and I think it's because he's not happy about the number one, the money that they're willing to pay him. Number two, his playing time. I don't think he's happy about his playing time. He probably knows what the scheme is, and it's probably more than what he was expecting. That's the way that I'm interpreting the contract issues right now between Rashad White and Bucky Irving. So I do think he sees 70% at least of the snaps this year, because he's just that type of guy. He can do that. And he's going to be really efficient and really good at what he does. So, anyways, back to the draft. I think I'm going to go Jaden Daniels because honestly, like if I go Rice right here, like I guess I could go Jalen Hurts, but I like Daniels better than I like Hurts. I do. So I'm going to go Daniels, and then I'm going to go Rice. And I'm going to be confident that Rice is going to be their next pick. And if he's not, that's all right. And what do you know? He's there. So I love this start. Nico Collins, Christian McCaffrey, Jaden Daniels, and then, oh man, now we got to pick between Rashee Rice or Kyron Williams. That's honestly a tough choice for me. But I think we can make up better for Kyron than we can for Rashee Rice. So I think I'm going to go Rice right here. Because I think there's some guys later on that we can tackle at the running back position that can help us make up for missing out on Kyron. So I don't know what y'all think in the comments. I'm not seeing anything new, so I'm gonna go Rashee Rice. Y'all, we are off to a really good start. I love this team so far. Love it, especially for being in a tough number 10 spot. I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So we've got our quarterback taken care of. We're looking really nice at wide receiver. We're honestly looking good at running back for being in round 5. We've got our anchor in CMC. So now let's look at our board right here. I wish I could make this a little bit bigger, and I wish I can. Yes. Ah, man. Okay. Never mind. Anyways, so we've got James Conner here at running back. This is kind of like, unless I see a wide receiver that just jumps out to me, I'm probably going to with a running back here. I don't want to stray away too far from a running back because we do have CMC, who is at a concerning age, a little bit concerned injury wise. Um, yeah. So we've got Connor. I'm not taking Godwin, not taking Waddle. Jerry Judy, maybe. But I think there's other guys I don't mind to have as my wide receiver 3 later on. And we could even get Jerry Judy coming back to us at the 6 spot. So, yeah. I think okay, so y'all can let me know in the comments, but I'm kinda liking going with, David Montgomery here, to be honest. And, Connor just concerns me. He's 30 years old. I know he proves us wrong every single year, and every single year that we doubt him, you know, he just he's just scary. We doubt him every single year, and he just ends up being one of those top guys. But he's 30 years old. You know he's going to miss some part of the season. But I mean, you could say the same for Montgomery, but Montgomery's 28, not a great age, but he's younger. He's in a he is he you know he also misses a lot of games throughout the year, and that's something to be concerned about. But he's in a better offense, I think, and he just I just like the value there a little bit better. Um, I have him ranked over Connor personally, so I think I'm going to go Connor as my RB2 to kind of anchor it down. And then we'll see who we get on the way back. So yeah, I'm going to go Montgomery here. Okay, so we got Jerry Judy to fall to us, which I like, but we also got Connor to fall back to us. Oh man, wow, that's tough. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I don't know how I feel, Jerry Judy mm, or James Conner. That's really hard. It looks like overall there's been more wide receivers taken. So I don't know. It might just be safer to go Jerry Judy here and lock down that wide receiver 3 position. But this is only starting 2 wide receiver format. And there's other running backs I like, but we are a little bit weaker overall at the position of running back. So getting a James Conner could help bolster that compared to our Nico and Rashee Rice combo. Like, holy smokes. That's league winning right there. Ah, man, this is tough. This is really tough. Let's look at what other wide receivers are going later. Yeah. See, I don't really mind to lose out on a Connor because we can get, guys like Travion Henderson or, some of these other guys to lock down running back 3 spot. Whereas the wide receiver position kind of drops off a little bit. So I think I'm going to go Judy here, lock down that wide receiver 3 spot, and then we'll see what goes. I'm really hoping there's one guy that comes back to us. He just went. I was hoping that RJ Harvey would fall back to us, but that's all right. We will be able to make up for it. I like Travion Henderson here, honestly. I think we've got a great start with Nico, Rice, and Judy. We obviously have quarterback lockdown. I like Travion Henderson here. And then this is a good tight end spot right here. I think we snag one of those tight ends on the way back. Yeah. Yeah, this is I think to be honest, I'm going to go Henderson here. I don't know what you all are thinking, but yeah, I'm going to go Henderson. Okay. All right. So, yeah. I don't mind these wide receivers right here as wide receiver 4, but it's not something I need to jump on, I don't think. Um, so I've got 3 wide receivers and 3 running backs. So I'm looking good there. I do need a tight end. It's not something that I desperately need to do or need to take right now, but there is a bit of a tier drop off after these 3 guys right here. So I think it's a fair thing to do if we take. I'm probably gonna go Andrews out of all these guys right here, but I don't mind Jonu. I don't mind Jonu, but the Pittsburgh talk scares me a little bit, even though I know, at the beginning of the live stream I was talking about, I don't think it happens, and I still don't think it happens. But I mean, there is a world where it does. So I think I'm going to go Mark Andrews here, and we can even pair him up later with Isaiah Likely, and we have that spot locked down. So yeah, I'm going to go Andrews here, and we've got our starting lineup filled out pretty much. So we can't be mad at that. I mean, that's a really really solid start. That is a solid start. Okay, let's go here. All right. So now it's really just picking best player available. We have the positions locked down. Not that we need to draft position anyways in the first place. I never recommend that. But well, that's a little discouraging to see that Jonu and Travis Kelsey would have came back to us in this 9 spot, because it would have been nice to draft one of these guys right here, but it is what it is. That's just the cards we were handed. So yeah, I need to find some guys here that are gonna help us out at the wide receiver and running back position. Oh man, this is tough. Um, so we've got who do we want to go with, guys? This is rough. This is rough. I think personally, it looks like there's more of a drop off in the running back part, and wide receiver just goes deep. I think I can find some good deep running backs or wide receivers later on. I don't want to lose out on the potential volume that is there for Javante. So I'm gonna grab Javante as my RB4 here. And we did lose out on Ricky Pearsall. I was hoping he would come back, but that's all right. Let's see. I don't hate Christian Kirk right here. That's pretty solid. Um, yeah, I like Christian Kirk right there. Good slot receiver. Oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. I got Nico already. I don't really want to have 2 Texans receivers. Um, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pull the trigger there. I'm going to keep looking down. At this point, I don't care about really who's at the top of the rankings. It just doesn't really matter to me. So I'm just picking, the guys that I think are going to do well, do the best. And so, yeah, ooh, man, Austin Eckler being there is intriguing too. But I don't know. I'd rather take a shot on a younger guy, I think. So, yeah, I'm going to go Thielen as my wide receiver 4 right here because he plays in that slot role. He's got safe upside, a safe floor. So I'm going to take Adam Thielen there, my wide receiver 4. He's going to be a nice flex guy for me. Ooh, I did not want to see a couple of these guys go, but that's all right. We just work with what we got. So, wow, the fact that Bo Nix has fallen this far makes me not like this Jaden Daniels pick as much. I would have loved to take in Bo Nix right here. or even earlier. But it is what it is. We can do what we can do now. That's the build. That's the team build we have. So, why don't we go ahead since we have four running backs? Why don't we go ahead and lock down Isaac Guerrero, and we will lock down the 49ers backfield. So if CMC does go down, we have Isaac Guerrero as our backup. We're good there. Okay. Now let's look at what we've got at wide receiver. Kyle Williams. I do like that. I do like that. Egbuka is already gone, so I'm a little disappointed about that. But I like Kyle Williams right here. High upside guy. Playing with Drake May. I love it. Okay. We've got two more picks. We can pick another receiver and another running back to balance it out. That'll give us 6 at each position. Yeah, because yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. So we've got let's see here. At running back. Who we got at running back? Potential value guys. I mean, Dylan Sampson could be a potential value guy. Ollie Gordon could kind of have some sort of a goal line role that I like. A really, really deep guy that I love taking sometimes later on. Let's see if he pops up here. Wow, he's really deep on their rankings. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. He's a deep, deep guy that I really like taking. But I don't know that we necessarily need to take him because, you just don't know what week one role he has. So you can always pick him up later. I don't think that's something that we need to attack right now. But one guy that could really see a sizable role early on this year is Kareem Hunt. I love Kareem Hunt right here. So he could provide flex worthy numbers day one. So we don't really need to worry about that. And it gives us time for some waiver pickups and other things to develop. So yeah, I like that. All right. Who's a receiver I like deep here? I like Trey Harris. I like Jack Beck. Um, that's tough. That's really tough. Adonai Mitchell. There's all kinds of guys. Pat Bryant. I like Pat Bryant too. Um, yeah. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Jack Beck. I like the value that it provides. I think he's gonna be a great deep sleeper this year. So I like that. Now let's take a defense. Let's go defense and Texans defense. I don't really know about that. I'm gonna go with the Rams defense. I don't know. Actually, there's a couple of teams here that I'm kind of debating on. Bills could be good. Bills defense is pretty safe bet, to be honest. Um, yeah, let's go with the Bills. That's a pretty safe bet at defense. And then kicker, not too much insight to go into here. You don't have to really overthink it. Just get a kicker and a good offense. I'm gonna go Jake Bates to round out my draft here. Let's see what grade they give us. A B. That's not bad. Yeah, I like this team. I think it's got a lot of upside. It's definitely Got some questions that need to be answered, especially at running back. A little bit weaker at running back, but I don't mind it at all. If I would have known that Bo Nix goes at the 12.06, that probably changes things for me. Um, where we took Jaden Daniels, but it's all right. He was a good vet. I mean, he was a good pick at 3.10, I think. But yeah, overall, I like the team. I think it's pretty good. So we got, a solid, like one of the top QBs in the league or in fantasy at the top. And then we got Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery duo. That's a sleeper. It's a sleeper combo. Um, you know, it's definitely not the worst one here that I see. Yeah, James Cook and Jalen Warren. Yeah, so then we got a solid duo in Nico and Rasheed Rice. And, our starting lineup is super solid, super nice. The bench just has, they've got to live up to projections and stuff. So I like it. I like the team. So, anyways, I've been here for long enough. We're going to wrap up the stream there tonight. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all the support, appreciate all the comments y'all were giving. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking with some fantasy football stuff. I had a really, really good time. I cannot wait to hop on here next Thursday and do it all over again. Again, go follow me on Instagram if you're not already. It's at Fantasy Football Huddle on Instagram. Got tons of content over there. We're posting every single day pretty much. And a lot of times posting multiple times a day. So go check that out. Fantasy Football Huddle on Instagram. Can't miss it. And then on Patreon, also at the Fantasy Football Huddle, I'm also doing some exclusive content over there, stuff that you're not going to see on YouTube, stuff that you're not going to see on Instagram. We're going to do mock drafts like this on the Patreon, and it's going to be more insight, even more detail. I'm gonna go super slow, tell you everything that I'm thinking, and we're gonna do it very, very often. So a lot more often than we'll be doing it here. So make sure to go check out the Patreon page. I'm gonna have more stuff than that as well. Gonna have draft guides, rankings, different sort of topic guides, player guides, position guides, all types of stuff. You need to go check it out. Also, there's community chats. So I'm going to be talking to those guys over in the community chats all the time. Any question that you have, you're going to have direct access to me. So hop in one of those tiers. It would do me a favor, and I know it'll do you a favor. I will help you win your fantasy league. So make sure you check that out. Once again, thank you for hopping on with me tonight, joining me live here from the Huddle studio, as I like to call it. And I will see you all next Thursday. Make sure to stay tuned for all the content in between then. I'll see y'all next stream. See you then.